The demonisation of China, along with Islam as the only viable alternative way of life, is always interesting.
This report will show you a vision of China's dystopian future, the world's first digital dictatorship.
Are the Chinese state any worse than the forces of capitalism? I don't know how to answer that question, but what I do know is the essential moral question that's being asked, is this wrong, is irrelevant, because this is inevitably happening everywhere anyway, except the people that are monitoring the information will be people that want to sell you stuff rather than the state that wants to control you in other ways.
A model citizen, Dan will rate highly on social credit. That her every action will be tracked and judged is fine by her.
We're attacking this as if it's fundamentally or essentially wrong, but it's not. It's just a different aesthetic, because already there are certain people that can't walk in nice hotels or freely walk around in airports. It's just we make those judgments on the basis of visual prejudice as opposed to digital prejudice. Is there a real moral difference between digital prejudice and visual prejudice? No, there's not a moral difference. You could argue this is sort of terrifying because it's so obviously dystopian and it's already been an episode of Black Mirror and oh my god, the machines are taking over. But what we can't argue is that it's ethically wrong, because we're doing that anyway, because, you know, a homeless person can't just shamble into the Savoy. We don't need to see his bloody digital scoring to know that that sleeping bag's not going to get you the best table at the grill.
Her score could even change in real time. Buy a lot of alcohol suggests dependence. Lose a couple of points.
I mean, you do remember Edward Snowden in Citizen 4's mad paranoia. He's like, oh my god, like they're watching you, they're watching us now, they can be listening to us through this phone. You know, the state is powerful. All we're querying is the explicit use of power and monitoring or the covert monitoring.
So what's the score that you have? See if it's
773.
773. So what's the maximum you can get?
I think it's 800.
Problem with me is I'm sort of quite a naturally competitive, small-minded man. I'd get sort of caught up in that score in no time at all.
What kind of access or what kind of privileges does that give you?
This is like for rent cars. I don't have to pay deposit.
If you find this unappealing, and why wouldn't you, then I suppose we have to think about our own use of social media and our own use of prejudice outside it, because even if we were living in some Neolithic tribal society, you'd still be going, my god, where did you get that muskrat helmet? By Jove, that's a hell of a boa you've made of that ferret. You would judge people, we continually judge people based on status symbols. It's just a different metric. I'm more surprised that Chinese people do ballroom dancing out in the park. That's what I want a news article. Chinese people do ballroom dancing in the park. Why don't we all do ballroom dancing? This ballroom dancing, it'll tyrannise us all. The reality is there's probably an advert at the beginning of this video, wasn't there, if you're watching it on YouTube, and if you're watching it on Facebook, they'll see that you looked at this page and they'll use that information for something, and if you look at it on Instagram, that's owned by Facebook anyway, and I bothered to put this necklace on in the vain hope that you might think it made me look cooler. So the essential problems are human problems, all technology merely an expression of aspects of our own nature. All culture, by definition, passes through human consciousness and is a result of human consciousness. So there is the possibility for a technological utopia as much as there is the antithetical version. So I suppose our job is, how do we wrestle control away from those who are currently powerful and create these utopias?
我觉得很多政府把我当成敌人吧，我们更倾向于它是一种宣传的机器，它可以向国民来灌。
Because in China they're complaining about the same sort of stuff we're complaining about. Oh, the mainstream media is the machinery of the state. That's what we all think. And whether you're on the left or the right, you will still imbue them with the identical narrative, isn't it? When you watch sort of right-wing people, they say, oh, the bloody left, it's a conspiracy, you know, and then the left-wing people, oh, it's the right, it's a conspiracy. So I think that there is some kind of dominant transcendent force that isn't governed by left or right, but just by simple economic values that sort of transcend politics in a sense. Don't you think that?
He says people don't fully comprehend what's to come. a digital totalitarian state where algorithms decide your fate and nothing can be questioned.
In a way, whilst this is being presented as something new, and it does seem exciting, and I must say I get off by all those graphics and stuff, this is just a continuation of the hierarchical systems that human beings have always used, and not only human beings, monkeys, and probably little tiny insects. I mean, if insects had this ability, they'd probably go, we're one of the laziest, stinkiest ants we've ever had in this, and he'll get out of town. So if you do want to change this kind of thing, you have to go on a spiritual journey and alter the way you look at human beings and see society as something that you benevolently serve, as opposed to something that is a resource for you, without allowing yourself to become enslaved by it. That would be my advice.